a lot of it didn't really have much to do with basketball. A lot of it was going through personal stuff of my own, but mostly kind of like mental health issues. I couldn't continue to go through the D1 grind with all these things going on. I just had to make the decision that I couldn't do this for now. And with the mindset that I could come back later.
Hey, it's time to get a March Madness comeback on this show.
Oh, just in time. I miss football so much. Let's turn the page to March Madness and Matt Veretto. The question is, who's Matt Veretto? I'm about to tell you. Veretto was player of the year in Connecticut when he was in high school. Then he played his freshman year of college at Delaware, but then he took 3 full years off from college basketball and now is a 24-year-old grad student hooping for the Vermont Catamounts, who it appears are going dancing, Shazier.
Also, we're talking about March Madness comeback stories on a special edition of the Checkdown. From Wondery, I'm Ryan Shazier.
And I'm Dave Damashek.
This is Don't Call It a Comeback.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been waiting on this moment my whole life. Can't call it a comeback. Everybody to your feet, make arenas rise. Yeah, I'm saying from the left to right, we get it on tonight. We do it all, but we don't back down. Just give me one shot, one chance, I'ma take it. Fixing up the game, but these records I keep on breaking.
Hey, Shek, the tournament's almost here. Let's get into this Matt Veretto comeback at Vermont.
All right, 5-0. Let's go back to Manchester, Connecticut, where Matt played his high school basketball. In 2018, the 6'8" forward was named the CIAC Connecticut Player of the Year, and he was all set to be a college basketball player. In 2019, Matt went to Delaware with big hopes, but the team struggled, and Matt averaged just 6.5 points off the bench. After just one freshman season, Matt decided he was done with college ball. He quit the sport, transferred to UConn as a regular old college student. Shazier, injury ended your playing career. What do you think of someone walking away when they're just getting going like that?
Man, to be honest, my first thought when it comes to this is, man, like, I think it's crazy that somebody just chooses to lead a sport. But I want to hear what Matt has to say before I get too hasty on this topic.
Oh, nothing vexes 5-0 more than somebody who doesn't take advantage of their physical gifts given to them from a higher power. It turns out, though, that Matt wasn't done. He wasn't turning his back on those gifts. After graduating from UConn, days before the transfer portal closed, he decided to take a final chance at playing college ball, and Vermont gave him his shot. This season, Matt, like I say, a 24-year-old grad student, is starting for the University of Vermont's men's basketball team. The Catamounts are the top team in the America East, and it looks like they're going to be dancing in just a couple of weeks now. And for more on Matt Veretto's comeback, we've got the man himself. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What's up, Matt? What's up, Matt? So let's get into this, man. Hey, so with your story is crazy to me. So I want to start all the way from the beginning. What was your experience like at 18 years old getting recruited out of high school?
It was it's quite a journey. It's kind of a roller coaster, as any recruit would probably describe it. You hear from a crazy amount of different schools from D3 to the D1 level, and it's definitely stressful trying to pick the right fit. That's, it's like the first time going away from home for a lot of people. So it's definitely interesting to try to pick a school, and it's a journey hearing from a lot of different coaches. So it's interesting.
So what led you to Delaware?
So I had a few Division I schools approach me at the time with scholarship offers, but after visiting Delaware, the facilities, the people seemed like it was going to be a perfect fit, and ultimately it was a great fit. But I think the biggest thing was like the surrounding area, and the school itself seemed like the best fit.
So why then, let's get into it. This is what Shazier was vaguely sort of upset about before you joined us, Veretto. He's one who really can't stand wasting natural gifts. So what led you at 18-ish? Is that about right? You're a blue hen at Delaware, 6.5 as a freshman, averaging 6.5 points a game. Yep. Not too bad. Why walk away from it?
Well, so at the time, a lot of it didn't really have much to do with basketball. A lot of it was going through personal stuff of my own, but mostly kind of like mental health issues. Just a lot of stuff going outside of basketball. that I just had to make the decision that I couldn't do this for now, and with the mindset that I could come back later, but it was something that I couldn't continue to go through the D1 grind with all these things going on. And definitely part of it was basketball. Just if you're going through something like that, it's difficult to just keep going every day with something kind of completely unrelated. So it was definitely like more outside than within basketball, but that's kind of why I had to leave.
No, I respect that, Matt, because a lot of times when people are dealing with things, make decisions, most of the times people outside looking in, feel like they know what's going on, and a lot of times people don't know what's going on. So, just to hear this story, I'm like, man, something had to be going on for you to just pick up and walk away from basketball. You won, Player of the Year in high school, so like obviously you cared about it. So, what did you do to help cope missing basketball where you were at? I know you transferred to UConn. When you transferred to UConn for those 3 years?
Yeah, I haven't actually gotten that question before. I think the biggest thing was just surrounding myself with the right people, because going back to UConn, it was 20 minutes from home, and I knew that was going to be a spot where I'd be able to spend more time with my family and people that I'm close with. So I think that was the biggest thing, is just making sure I had the right support system around me, so that whether I could return to basketball or not, I could at least help myself get better for the future. So I think that was the biggest thing. Is there were so many moments where I missed playing basketball in front of a crowded arena, a really loud arena, and you're playing like under the lights, like it's there's nothing better than it. But I think just, during the times, especially when I missed basketball, I had to just surround myself with the right people that were telling me the right stuff. And obviously, as you guys probably know, I was playing pickup, I was doing intramurals, so yeah. I was playing a little bit of basketball, but it was obviously nothing like the level that I was playing at before or now. So that was the biggest thing, though.
I was going to ask you that. I was like, were you playing intramurals? And I feel like that might have been a little bit unfair for those guys. You recently Player of the Year in the state, and then now you're just out here playing intramurals with those guys. Were you giving them buckets?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I developed a little bit of reputation on campus, but it was funny. We could say that.
Did you do like the white men can't jump kind of bit, where like you showed up extra slovenly looking and maybe let your team get down a few buckets early on and then hit the gas and blew everybody away? Just for a laugh, if not for money?
I think I did that a few times for sure, but I think it would just come right from the jump. I don't think I could give a possession or two away. I think I would just try to dunk on everybody from the start. But yeah, we had fun there for sure.
That sounds like a good time. So, okay, so you go from being a blue hen, then you become a Husky, but just a civilian Husky. You're not playing ball for them. Then you decide to become a Catamount, which is a fascinating animal trajectory for anyone over the span of 4 years. By the way, while you're just a civvy student, what are you studying again? You have your degree now as an undergrad?
Yeah, I was studying finance.
Finance, yes.
Now I'm doing a master's degree in accounting here.
And while you're doing that and you're hitting the books and you're dabbling at the, playing some pickup ball, you're missing, as you indicate, you miss playing under the lights. At what point while you're matriculating at UConn are you thinking like, you know what, maybe I can still get another bite at this apple once I wrap up that finance degree?
Yeah, it's interesting. That happened a few times. And the first few times I kind of blew it under the rug because of what I dealt with the first time, kind of associated the mental health stuff with basketball. But the one time that it just really resonated with me was, I actually know the date because it was 2 days before the transfer portal actually closed, but it was April 29th. And I knew I had wanted to play, but I had a job lined up and I didn't think I was going to. And it was kind of just a shot in the dark. So I would say it was that day that when I entered the portal, it was just kind of let's just see what happens and see if anybody reaches out. And the next day, Vermont reached out. So it was just kind of like a last minute thing where over the past few years, I was like, I can definitely do this if I put my mind to it. But then I was like, nah, never mind. Like, it's not worth it, whatever. But that day was the day where I was like, let's see what happens. Like, I'm going to do it if I get something. kind of thing.
Hey Matt, so I'm really interested in this transfer portal thing real quick. I'm about to actually sidetrack us for a second. So what is it like going into the transfer portal? Because we didn't have that when I played. I don't know if I would have went into the transfer portal, but like, how does that work? You just put your name into something? Like how does that? Like, I'm just being completely honest.
Shazier
right
thinks you have to get on like a spaceship or something like that. Like there's a physical transfer portal. What's happening to me?
No, I'm just saying because like just really think about it. Because Matt didn't play basketball for 3 years, and then he was like, all right, man, I really want to go back out there. Hey, everybody, I'm back out here. Like. Normally you go through a whole recruiting process, but now you just put your name in the portal. Is there like you just put your name in there and everybody just start looking at the different names in there? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Because I wasn't playing, it was a little bit of a different process because usually you would get your waiver signed that you could go talk to, like go into the transfer portal from the school that you were just at and you're transferring from. But for me, so all I had to do was go into the athletic director's office, not the athletic director himself, but the general athletics office, and talk to. They have one person designated to like transfer stuff, and I just had to go through like a 5-minute educational video training to say that like I know how the rules work, and then they put me in saying I'm transferring from UConn, which may or may not have helped me because it looks like I'm coming from playing basketball at UConn. But so basically you go into a portal and there was like, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 players in there. So it was basically a bunch of Division III coaches reached out, and then Vermont, basically the only reason they reached out, they already knew me from high school. So yeah, I mean, you have a bio in there and everything, but it's basically a portal of just thousands of names that you have no idea if you're actually going to hear from anybody.
Yeah,
how
that's
weird.
Very interesting to me.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, especially I wonder if there were any coaches who came across your name and said, well, this must be screwy paperwork or whatever, right, because this kid hasn't played in 3 years now. 2020, you're supposed to, this is carryover from a couple of years ago, right? Yeah. I mean, did you get any weird reactions? Like, are you actually meant to be in this portal right now, man?
That was my first conversation with Vermont. Coach Schneider called and he sounded so confused. He was like, I see your name in the portal. He was completely confused, asking questions like that. Like, have you played, all this stuff? So I think it was like a shock to all the coaches probably that had known me before, that they're seeing this name because obviously it's been since the 2018-19 season that I've even played. So it was definitely a confusing conversation, and he was asking a lot of questions like that.
It must be like you're like Andy Dufresne, like talking to the people at the prison about where you've been, and just absolutely bizarre stuff there. So you make it to the Catamounts there. What's it like when you first get out onto the floor? Was it a trip for you? Was there an adjustment period for you to get up to speed with the kids who are obviously, it doesn't sound much like, he's 24. He's still college age to me, but that's a pretty significant age difference. If you're a 19-year-old kid, right, you seem like an old man walking in there in your mid-20s, right?
Right. Yeah. I think it was a huge adjustment, especially on the conditioning and the defensive side. I think I've struggled kind of throughout the year with staying in front of guards at the Division I level because I haven't had to switch on to a guard at the Division I level for however many years. So it's been an adjustment just as far as footwork and conditioning goes. I think I'm getting better with that, but I have another year of eligibility next year now. So that's going to be helpful to have one more off season to really take a crack at it and fully adjust. But I think I'm getting there.
So Matt, tell us about your first game back with the Catamounts, and did you have a welcome back moment to college basketball?
I felt sick to my stomach. That's for sure. I was nervous. We had a packed out crowd. We played against Brown. I don't know if I had a welcome back moment. I think it was just, I didn't really feel comfortable out there until I had a layup. I had like a fake handoff and went in and scored. And I think I started to feel a little bit more comfortable now that I kind of did something productive. But I don't know if I had a welcome back moment. I think it was just, I had to get the nerves out for sure. So I think I had a few moments that were like, okay, well, I gotta do something positive here.
Well, does Coach Becker, I say you're like Andy Dufresne, is part of your allure to him that you could help him with his taxes? You know, is that like something you dangle? Get me on the team. Give me some good run there, Coach. You know, I can make this right on the other side when we sit down with the paperwork.
Yeah.
At what point do you transition from sort of your personal goals to realizing you're on a team that has a real shot at playing in March Madness, and what does that mean to you in your personal journey here over these last, half decade or so?
Yeah, honestly, the second that they gave me a shot and offered me the scholarship, all the personal stuff kind of went out the window. It was, I know this team has a real winning culture, won so many regular season titles in a row. They go to March Madness all the time. I know this name. Like, all the personal stuff was out the window. The second they gave me the shot, I was like, let's go win a championship. Let's go play in March Madness. Now, that's like also selfish, like a personal thing. Like, I want to win a championship and I want to go to March Madness, but like it's all about the culture here. Like, they've established this from day one, and it's not easy to get that culture across to 7 new guys on a team. Between transfers and freshmen, we got basically half of us are new here. But that's been the culture established from day one. And for me, it was right when they offered, when I was like, we got to go win this thing for sure.
Man, so like, I love to hear that, because, Coach Becker became the winningest coach in Vermont history.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing, like you said, that played a huge role in you wanting to go to Vermont. Like, what do you feel is next for you guys, and what's next in your basketball career?
Well, Vermont as a program is in a really great spot. Been winning, season in, season out. So hopefully, in the immediate future, hopefully we can win a championship this year. And I think just, as a whole, Coach Becker is going to continue to do what he does. He's one of the greatest coaches really to ever do it. So I think he's going to continue to do what he does. And hopefully, as Vermont's future goes, they're going to continue to recruit the right guys, and everybody knows they will, because they really know what they're doing on that front. And keep winning championships, hopefully.
So what will equal success for you individually? Is it what the Catamounts do in March here? You say there's another season of eligibility awaiting you. Yep. Mac McClung has inspired you to be a dunk champion, maybe in a year or 3. What's next for you? Yeah,
I think the biggest thing is just focusing, obviously, one game at a time. But, if you try to look in the big picture, one season at a time, it's going to be trying to win a championship this year. That's how I'll measure my personal success, whether the team won a championship or not. And then the following year I'll be back. So it'll be trying to win a championship, see what we can do after that. Obviously we want to win the championship first, but see what we can do after that as well in March. And then, personally after that, hopefully continue to play basketball at a high level, but we'll see kind of from there. But the first step is I got to go win a championship this year.
Man, awesome stuff. And maybe on the other side of that, now it feels all up in the air, and good for you for living your dream here before you start the finance job, if that's in fact what you end up doing on the other side of playing basketball. Good for you for taking advantage of your physical gifts and getting to enjoy all this. Thanks for the time, man. Fascinating story.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Matt, man. I really appreciate your time. And if I need any tax advice, I know who to call.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys.
Yep. There he goes, Matt Veretto, everybody. Up next, White Men Can't Jump is making a comeback. The original's a classic, but is it the best hoops movie?
Don't call it a comeback.
All right, time for some other comeback stories now. This is The Checkdown. Last season, Kansas pulled off the biggest second-half comeback in NCAA championship history, overcoming a 15-point halftime deficit to beat UNC by 3. Shazier, what's your favorite March Madness moment?
So I'm going to say the coolest moment, my favorite moment from March Madness was when Mario Chalmers hit that 3 versus Memphis to tie the game at Kansas. So that's obviously another Kansas moment. I was a young kid, and I was just watching the game. And for him to hit that 3 and then go to the Heat, where I was in Florida, so it was kind of cool. The and that was a really big game, and you know how good Derrick Rose was in college. But my favorite moment, and this one's gonna suck for me because I'm actually a Blue Devils fan. I'm a Duke fan. One day I had a signing, just random. It was 2019. I had a random signing that was in Washington D.C. and my best friend was with me, and I had my older son, and he was like, "Hey man, I think the tournament is here." So I was like, "Man, you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, I think Duke plays Michigan State." So we just randomly like bought tickets. We was like 4 rows from the floor, 4 or 5 rows from the floor, and like our seat was almost parallel to like Magic Johnson, Plexio Burrs, and a lot of other guys. And it was Michigan State versus Duke. Duke ended up losing 68-67, but it was just a really cool moment because it was just spontaneous. We actually went to a March Madness game. It was the Elite Eight, and we watched Michigan State end up winning the game. But my favorite moment was to actually go to that game and actually see it because it was actually a big time game, and I got to see it with my son and one of my good friends. So it was, but unfortunately, we ended up losing though.
A Florida kid who went to Ohio State likes Duke. You know what that says to me? Front running, Shazier, front running.
No,
My favorite memory.
I gotta tell you a story. So I'm gonna let you tell you a story, but I'm gonna tell you why I'm a Duke fan. So.
All right. I will just say this. I think it was 1985. My mother came and picked me up from school. Old Mo Damashek boosted me from whatever elementary school studies I was supposed to be doing so I could go home in the middle of the day and watch my beloved Pitt Panthers play the mailman Karl Malone and Louisiana Tech. Pitt lost the game, but Mo Damashek and Dave Damashek were the big winners that day. Got to have a special March Madness memory for all of time. Thanks, Mo.
So the reason I'm a Duke fan, growing up, I was a big football guy. So I never really had a true team. Like Ohio State is my number one team, obviously, but I'm a Duke fan. If I'm just watching any other basketball, I'm rooting for Duke. But if Ohio State and Duke play, I always root for Ohio State. It's been multiple situations when that happened, and you know, for me, the reason I'm a Duke fan is because my wife, she played college basketball. She loves college basketball. And we end up going to a Duke game. I got to talk to the team, got to meet Coach K, and I actually spent time with the team. And so that's why I like Duke as a basketball school. But it came from my wife. Like I'm a Spurs fan, and it brewed from my wife because I've always been like a player fan. When it comes to basketball, I've never been a true fan of a team. And you know, since me and Michelle have been together, I've always been, you know, we started going to games together, and I just turned into a fan of those two teams. So I'm a Spurs fan and a Duke Devils fan now. So it's pretty cool.
And the fact that Duke wins a lot of national championships probably
they haven't won
one.
They haven't won one national championship since I like them. So.
All right, listen. St. Peter's made the Elite Eight as a 15 seed last season, and the year before that, UCLA made the Final Four as an 11 seed. Shazier, will Cinderella stories make a comeback again this March?
So I definitely think there's going to be Cinderellas this year. And one team that I think that could be a Cinderella this year is your school, and where I live is Pitt basketball. And the reason that I think Pitt basketball can be a sleeper is because pretty much the whole season this year, they've been the number one team or the number two team in the ACC. They've been the front runners of the ACC. They lost. They have some bad losses, but whenever they play a ranked team, they beat them. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pitt gets in. They're like the 11th seed because they haven't been ranked the whole season, but they've beaten Miami. They've beaten North Carolina twice. They've beaten Virginia. They're beating the teams that they need to beat. They lose the bad games. So I think that they can go in, be a sleeper. They'll mess around, be the 11th seed, even though that they might end up being one of the top two seeds in the ACC. So I just think that Pitt is a team that can do it.
Yeah, I hope they'll get a higher seed than that. The results in the Power 5 conference suggest that they deserve better than that, and they are going to be a tough out. That's not homerism out of me. I'm an Indiana University graduate, but I grew up going to games at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse with Charles Smith and Jerome Lane and that gang. And this particular edition of Pitt has so many perimeter scores that it's hard to handle. It's almost a mathematical unlikelihood that you're going to be able to shut down all those scores. And as we've seen in many March Madness games, you get one hot shooter for 40 minutes that can push you into the next round, no matter how high a seed you're going up against in that one. I am intrigued by this Pitt team heading into March Madness this year. This is going to be the first tournament without Coach K in over a quarter century. If you could bring back one legendary hoops coach back to start his career all over again, who would you pick, 5-0?
Man, if I could bring one coach back, I just told you I'm a Duke fan, so I'm bringing Coach K back. He's a really cool guy. He has wonderful stories. I felt that he just did a great job of recruiting, but also leading players. And then one thing about March Madness that most people can say is either you hate Duke or you love Duke. And whenever Duke came across that schedule, for most people, is either you're going to have a tremendous fan base of people booing and hating them, or a tremendous fan base of people loving them. And they're going to have a packed house every single time they play. So, I don't know the next time you're going to see a coach as impactful as Coach K. Shelf at Kansas is a really good coach. There's some really good coaches out there, but I just don't know if we're going to get another Coach K for a long time, and the way that he made Duke the school that it is. So I would bring Coach K back, man. I know he just left, but I definitely love to have him again.
I'd love to see, just as a social experiment, what John Wooden would do, how his message translates in the 21st century. I'd love to see Adolph Rupp come back and try and make a go of things in the 21st century and win maybe half a game over the course of 35 games going about it with his philosophical agenda. Also, Bob Knight. I went to Indiana University.
That's not going to work.
I think it would be fascinating to see how his message and the way he delivered it would work on this generation, or more. I think we probably park our cars in the same garage. Wouldn't work on this generation of kids. I think they would all be revealed as dinosaurs, better left in the previous century there. But yeah, it would be fascinating stuff to see.
Yeah, Bob is too aggressive. I don't think he'll work for the guys.
No, I don't think so any longer. Yeah. Hey, Houston in the meantime is back. I grew up, I remember watching Phi Slamma Jamma in my earliest days of being a sports fan. Now they're back on top of college basketball, which takes me back to those, like I say, the Phi Slamma Jamma days. Which classic college basketball team do you think would have the most success in today's game?
Oh man, we talked about this a little bit, and man, it's really hard for me, man. I'm a very bad person when it comes to just the history of the game. Oh, the old guys are as good as the young guys. Like, I'm a very pro this generation type of guy because the game constantly evolves. So, man, to be honest, you will have to go with the team up north. You will have to go with the Fab Five. I think that's one of the teams that's best suited for this generation and this style of basketball. But I'm gonna be completely honest, man. I don't know. I think it's gonna be really hard, because when Magic Johnson played at Michigan State that very long time ago, I don't know if that type of ball is good enough now. Because everybody's 5 out. When Shaq played, I know he was a dominant force, but everybody's 5 out. So I just think the fact that even like with Shane Battier and JJ Redick, they were all good, but I just don't know if the skill set is the same as it is now, just with all the athletes on the floor. So to me, I'll probably go with the Fab Five. I know that might be your answer as well, but I don't think besides them, I don't see a lot of other guys coming back and being able to compete with some of the best teams now.
Running Rebs of roughly the early 90s, when they beat Duke, hammered Duke before Duke got them the next year. That team would be competitive, but I think the correct answer is the Fab Five. In fact, I think it's an anomaly. I think the worst NFL team in 2022 would destroy, obviously, any team from 1980. In basketball, it's a little bit weirder, and I do think the Fab Five, even as freshmen and sophomores, would be able to hang. And in fact, probably, I don't know if this counts as a hot take, I don't think they would lose to any team in college basketball 2023. I think they would. I think they would be able to compete favorably with the best team out there, including this current Houston Cougars team or anyone on down from there. White Men Can't Jump is making a comeback after the tourney, with Jack Harlow taking over Woody Harrelson's role. Shazier, what is the best hoops movie of all time?
Hey, I want to ask a question first.
Mm.
Do you know who Jack Harlow is?
Sure.
That was a very questionable answer.
I don't know any of his. I don't know. I couldn't tell you any of his albums or anything like that. I know who he is.
Okay. And so there's a lot of really, really good movies. And I actually watched White Man Can't Jump last night, and that's a really good movie, man. And I'm trying to think about it because as a kid, I used to loving basketball. He Got Game is a good movie. White Man Can't Jump. Hoosiers, that's a movie, you love that probably because you went to Indiana. Coach Carter, Above the Rim, with Tupac. Man, this is a really, really tough goal of it when it comes to movies, man. But I would say the best movie, if you really think about it, is probably He Got Game with Ray Allen and Denzel Washington. I think that's probably one of the best movies. I know a lot of people loving basketball. That's like a romantic basketball movie, but He Got Game I think it's a great storytelling. Denzel Washington, Ray Allen do a great job of just kind of showing how getting recruited used to be, and the father-son relationship. And I thought it was a really good movie. So I'll probably say He Got Game is probably my top basketball movie.
It's weird Ray Allen doesn't get more credit for his acting. He's an athlete, and at that point in his life, he's a young kid. He was pretty good in that Spike Lee movie. I understand that Hoosiers is problematic for a lot of people, politically incorrect on some level. What I like about that movie is it's not just that the kids that they have filling the roles of the high school basketball players look like basketball players. They look like basketball players from the 50s. They all look like Bob Cousy dribbling the ball out in front of them and the two-handed set shots and everything else. I don't know how they pulled that one off, how they found those kids who were able to fake it like they were 15 years old in 1955, but remarkable stuff there. But maybe the correct answer is Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. They opened the Igloo after all, and they flew in to save the day. Remember that? Pittsburgh Pisces, no Shazier. Anywho, that's it for this episode of Don't Call It a Comeback.
Hey, make sure to follow, rate, review the show on wherever you're listening. Check us out on YouTube on the Wondery channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. See you all next week.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been waiting on this moment my whole life. Can't call it a comeback. Everybody to your feet, make arenas rise. Yeah, I'm saying from the left to right, we get it on tonight. We do it all, but we don't back down. Just give me one shot, one chance, I'ma take it. Fixing up the game, but these records I keep on breaking.